Gurley. Big burst for Gurley as he tarries it out to the 30-yard line. Officially a 21-yard gain, and that's what you said about the Rams. They'll run the ball despite all that finesse, and they do it again, and Gurley close to another first down. Receivers, he's really the linchpin of this team.
Truly is.
And he gets the call again, breaks a tackle, and nearly broke two. And he'll be shy of the first down by about a yard and a half, thanks to Darian Stewart. First and 10. And here's Todd Gurley with a burst, and Todd Gurley still on his feet and stopped from behind the 37 of the Broncos. First down. And we go back to Gurley. And Gurley picks up about 5 yards. Stewart, the strong safety, makes the tackle. And now Gurley goes in motion, gets the ball on the pitch. And Gurley trying to find blocking, gets the first down, and gets really tough yards down the sideline. 4th and 1. And here is Gurley, and he'll go in for the touchdown. And a great block by the left tackle, Andrew Whitworth, and Gurley with a 10-yard touchdown.
What's up, Ramley? The Rams are undefeated, the only undefeated team in the NFL, and I gave Todd Gurley a new name. His new name is
Todd Gurley 3000
because he's unstoppable. That dude cannot be stopped. 208 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns against the Denver Broncos defense. That is pretty good. They got really good corners, really good linebacker core, edge rushers, and an inside pass rush. And basically, this was a Todd Gurley show 2.0. And I usually call Todd Gurley TG300. Now it's TG3000 because he had one of his best games on the ground, rushing the football, 208 yards, and basically carried this team on his back. And it was a great game overall for that offensive line and Todd Gurley. Now, Jared Goff didn't have the best game of his career or of the season. I think this was his roughest game all year, but he did just enough to get the Rams into good field position at times and let Todd Gurley run the ball. Todd Gurley with 208 yards really did well against that stacked Denver Broncos defense. I was actually surprised he did as well as he did because you have the edge rushers like Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. Those guys are elite pass rushers in the NFL, and I honestly thought that they were going to be creating havoc, which they were when it came to the passing game. I think they ended up sacking Jared Goff about 5 times, if I'm not mistaken. Created a lot of pressure. That front 7 defense is really good. That's one of the things I was looking at the Denver Broncos game prior for the season starting is they have really good talent on that defense, and they're going to give us a hard time, and they did. But the Rams still came out victorious because they were able to run the ball efficiently down the field, and when it mattered the most, the Rams scored the most points in the end of the game. Now, the Rams basically dominated, I think, up until the 3rd quarter, and then that's when the Denver Broncos were slowly kind of building up and starting to score and moving the chains a little bit better because Case Keenum was struggling. Whether or not you think Case Keenum is a good quarterback or whether you think Vance Joseph is a bad head coach, you heard the crowd. There a lot of boos in the early part of this game. They weren't getting the ball down the field as they would like to, and it showed. A lot of the Denver Broncos fans are really mad, and now they're starting to get after the coaches. They're starting to get after the players. You hear booing in the stands. And I don't blame them because obviously you want your team to do too well, but it's been a couple of games already where their offense is just terrible. And the Rams defense did actually a pretty good job getting after Case Keenum, creating a lot of pressure and on to consume Michael Brockers on the interior, especially Aaron Donald. There was a bunch of plays where Aaron Donald was being held a lot. So I kind of see why a lot of the people really don't like that offense because a lot of the holding calls. There was, I think, 2 false start plays for Denver Broncos, and they just couldn't run the ball well. So they were very one-dimensional. They forced Case Keenum to throw it deep a lot, and basically they forced them to beat Todd Gurley and Jared Goff in this game like a shootout, which they didn't do because they basically scored most of their points in the end of the game. Now, the way that the Rams defense was creating a lot of pressure was a lot of inside pass rush, and they were struggling off the edge as usual. So they're going to have to see what they can do to get a better outside pass rush presence, because it just can't be those three guys in the interior. Other guys have to step up, and no one did in this game. It was basically just Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. So the linebackers are doing pretty good at covering and tackling. Eventually, Broncos ended up abandoning the run, and they just ended up passing the ball a lot. So I think I've seen where Corey Littleton made a play because he was, covering one of the tight ends or one of the receivers, and he ended up deflecting it, and then John Johnson got the interception. And a little bit after that, Jared Goff threw his only interception as well. I think it was to Josh Reynolds, and it bounced off Josh Reynolds' chest, and then it was intercepted after that. So we have to be careful about, making mistakes, especially on our side of the field, because then we put them, the Denver Broncos, in good scoring position. And I think that's when they actually started scoring, was after the interception. So we have to be very careful. I mean, Jared Goff wasn't going to have a really good game this game. I think he struggles a lot when it comes to some of the conditions, like if it's wet and rainy, or I'm guessing cold, because he throws with gloves. And usually when he throws with gloves, he did have, I think, 200 plus yards and no touchdowns, because Denver Broncos defense was pretty good at covering our wide receivers, but they just couldn't stop the run. And that's what the one thing about the Rams is, pick your poison, basically. You got wide receivers on the outside, and then you have a really good offensive line that create a lot of gaps for Todd Gurley to run, and that's what he did. And Todd Gurley, in my opinion, has been the best running back since last year. I think he struggled in 2016, credit to Jeff Fisher and his terrible offensive line and terrible offensive scheme. And then I don't know how Todd Gurley, this is how good Todd Gurley is. He actually did very well when I think he got drafted in 2015, and in his rookie season was the offensive rookie of the year. That's how good he was under Jeff Fisher. So, I mean, he's doing spectacular now. Some people are saying that he's going to have, I think, 2,200 all-purpose yards, and then he might get about 29 touchdowns. They're saying that he's trying to get after LaDainian Tomlinson's touchdown record, and I think he can do it as long as he scores 2 touchdowns every single game from here on out. But I mean, who knows what happens in the next couple of the games with other opponents and other defenses. He did fairly well against the Denver Broncos, credit to him, but it's kind of like this. Sean McVay is a lot of misdirection, a lot of play action, because I think that's what Jared Goff is really good at. Protect him inside the pocket, and then throw it either down the field deep, or a screen pass, or just run the ball with Todd Gurley. It's so hard to defend against the Rams offense because they can throw so many things at you, and you really have to be on your tippy toes or get after Jared Goff in time. And that's kind of what Denver Broncos did with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, is they went head to head, they went toe to toe with the tackles, Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein, and I think they did a really good job of beating those 2 tackles. Von Miller is, we all know he's an elite pass rusher, and then Bradley Chubb is a new guy, but he's still really good. He's learning, but they could be the best pass rushing duo in the NFL. They just were so good in this game. I was astonished, because I kind of knew you were going to have problems with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb in this game, but you just didn't know how good they were going to be together. And I think they ended up sacking Jared Goff. Jared threw the ball a lot on the ground, or they tried to rush it to his receivers, and that credit to them. They did really good getting after Jared Goff. So, but that's one thing about the Rams. They can beat you all types of ways. So they did a really good job in this game. I was very proud of the Rams, and basically I'm excited because this team has the 49ers next. They're the top of their division. They're 3 games ahead of the second place, which I think it's going to be Seattle this year. And they're just in the league of their own. A lot of people are already speculating that the Rams are going to be I think the #1 seed in the NFL, and I think I saw a statistic saying that the Rams have 66% first seed in the NFC. Then first round bye is going to be 83%. Winning the division is 95%, and making the playoffs is 99%. So you already know that the Rams are in good hands this year. Like I've said, I think in my first video on Clash of the Horns, Sean McVay being the head coach, he's going to emulate what he did in Washington and bring it to the Rams. I mean, that's why he got the head coaching job. You just didn't know to what extent. As long as the Rams got a little bit better on offense, I thought they would make the playoffs. And they did last year. They went from worst to first. In this game, it seems to be the same thing. They're still a top 5 offense with the best running back in the NFL, with a top 5 quarterback. That's what Jared Goff is right now. I think he has like the 4th most passing yards, and he's in the he's tied for 2nd or 3rd with the most touchdown passes. And I think he completes 70% of his passes so far this season. He's doing a phenomenal job. Plus, Todd Gurley has more touchdowns than Buffalo, Tennessee, Oakland, and Arizona combined. And he has as much touchdowns as New York Giants, Washington, Dallas, Jacksonville, and Houston by himself. That's how good Todd Gurley is playing right now. And that's how good Sean McVay is putting the Rams in a position to win at this moment. So as long as our defense steps up, I know Troy Hill had a hard game this game. Sam Shields as well. They were both kind of like rotating. You have Marcus Peters on one side. Safeties did a fairly good job. The pass rush has to improve. I think that's the only weakness of the Rams. They got the linebackers. I really like Corey Littleton. I think he's a hard worker. He does it week in, week out. He's one of those unspoken heroes, and I'm excited to see him by the end of the year and see how many interceptions he has, how many tackles, and how many deflected passes, because he's so good in so many ways. And then Mark Barron coming back, he's playing pretty good. He's one of those thumpers. You know, he'll crack a running back coming down the field pretty good. And then we just got to improve on the pass rushers. I mean, on the outside, whether it's Obogna Okoronkwo coming back from injury, or my dude Samson Ebukam stepping up again, getting a sack, because I think he only has 1 or 2 sacks this year. And then John Franklin Myers, young guy, but I think he's at this moment the 2nd best other than Samson Ebukam so far. I think the sky's the limit for this team. I think they could go possibly. Some people are saying 16-0. I think I said 13-3, and I think that's a safe bet with the Rams being this good. So far undefeated, and I think the sky's the limit for them. They have the 49ers next. They had the Packers after that. They both struggled against each other. The Packers basically, with Aaron Rodgers, beat up San Francisco team. So we have the Niners next, then we have the Packers, and then I think we have like who's the Saints and the Chiefs, and those teams. Those are going to start getting harder, those games. But right now, man, I'm thinking we're going to go 8-0, and then who knows what after that. So, horns up, you guys. Thank you for watching this video. It's been a pretty good season so far, and this is possibly the best team I've seen since 1999 Rams 2001. So, horns up, go Rams.
Offense, 3rd down and 1 here. And here's Gurley going wide, and he's going to get it. And more. Todd Gurley. And Gurley will score. Todd Gurley with the touchdown, his 2nd of the game. And the Rams can't hold him down for long. They go to Gurley. And Gurley refuses to be put down, and I count 6 Broncos finally bringing him to a halt as they go to her just like that.
Right, I would imagine.
2nd down and 7, and they flip it to Gurley up the side, down the sideline, and pushed out of bounds, but not.